Hi ET605. This presentation is going to be a tutorial on how to make a 3-question PowerPoint quiz. On Moodle you'll see this PDF that talks about documenting how to make a hyperlink PowerPoint, which you saw in the previous video, and then now we're going to talk about how to use those hyperlinking skills to make a 3-question quiz where students would go through and click on different responses for answers, and then they would either, based on what they click on, be taken to a slide for the correct answer or be taken to a slide for the wrong answer and have them take their test again. Remember also we will be having our students view this presentation in slideshow mode under kiosk settings, so that way students actually won't be able to click around in the presentation until they've actually gotten the correct answer. So this is our general outline for how our PowerPoint quiz is going to look. You'll notice that we're going to start with 9 slides, and this diagram is going to tell us which ones we're going to mark as using different action buttons or using different hyperlinks to take to the next slide. So I'm going to flip back between this screen and my PowerPoint on how to do and complete this. All right, first and foremost, I'm going to start by adding 9 slides. That way I know I'm going to have 3 questions, and I'm going to have a title slide, a beginning slide, and I'm also going to have a right answer slide for each of the questions and one singular wrong answer slide as seen in this presentation. All right, so first and foremost, what we're going to do is we're going to start with our sample quiz, and we're going to start with the title page, and you can give some sort of directions if you want. Take this quiz by clicking through the links to go through all of the answers. Now, on this page, we actually need to create an action button because remember, since we are going to change our settings to kiosk mode, which we'll do in 1 second, students won't actually be able to click through this. So we're going to have to create an action button. But let's first go through and set up our slideshow so it's viewed in kiosk mode. So remember, this presentation is if you are looking on Mac. The settings should be pretty similar if you're on PC, but you can view the other presentation on how to do that. All right, so I'm going to find my slideshow tab. And up at the top, I'm going to go up to where it says Setup and click on Setup Show. I want to make sure that it is selected as browsed at a kiosk, which is fine. We don't want it presented by the speaker because then our students will be able to click around and see which ones are the correct answers. So now that it's set in kiosk mode, we should be good to go from here. Now, if I start my quiz, notice I can't click and actually move forward. I would have to create a button and links for my students to click on in order to navigate through. So as seen in our diagram, I'm going to create an action button on slide 1 that takes me to the next slide. So I'm going to go through and hit Shapes, go up to Action Buttons, and if you choose the one that's the arrow, it's defaulted to forward or next. That's what I want it to do, so I'm just going to choose that one. And again, it'll pop up a little link. I want it to be on mouse click, and I want it to hyperlink to the next slide, which is going to be question number 1. And I know we won't be able to tell yet, but it'll take us to the next one. Now, what I'm going to do is go through and fill in what each slide is. So slide 2, before I add in any of the responses, slide 2 is actually question 1. So I'm going to go type in question number 1. Slide 3 is the correct answer for question number 1, so I'm going to type that at the top. Then slide 4 is question 2, so I'm going to add that in. And then slide 5 is the correct answer for question number 2. Slide 6 is question number 3. And then slide 7 is the correct answer for question 3. Number 3. That was just slide 7. Slide 8, however, is going to be our wrong answer slide. So I'm going to put in wrong answer. Now, notice we have correct answers for all the different ones. We only have one wrong answer slide. And then last but not least, we're going to have our final end show slide. Thank you for taking this quiz. The end. And you could obviously add in more details. For this tutorial, I'm just going to go in very quickly. Okay, now that I've gone through, I can start with question number 1. And in question number 1, I could put what is the question? I'm just going to type in something that is generic. So I've given my question, and then I have a couple different options. I could create buttons that could be used as of links to take to different slides, or I could actually create boxes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create some basic shapes, which I should be able to turn into hyperlinks, or I can literally even just type in the answer. So answer, I'm going to type wrong answer, and then I could also just duplicate the wrong answer, and then I could also come up with correct answer. You would obviously fill in your responses. If I wanted to make these boxes, what I could do, if I click on them, just like we did with our word process last week, I could create a line around them. So if I wanted to make little boxes around my text boxes, I could do that way. And I could fill them in and create these little boxes around them, such as this. I can make them bigger if I wanted by formatting and changing the size, however you wish to do your responses. Okay, or you could actually create shapes if you wanted to as well. Like I could use circles. And you'll notice that what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to create hyperlinks. The easiest way is probably to create a text box and to use it that way and give it an outline. But we're going to create our hyperlinks very similar to what we did when we did our hyperlinked PowerPoint. So if I know that this is the wrong answer, both of these are wrong answers, and I'm just going to show you on these. I want to go up to Insert, Hyperlink. And remember, since we're going to find something in the document, we need to click Document. So we want to take it to a specific hyperlink within our PowerPoint. So I'm going to click on Document. I'm going to go down to Find Anchor, and then I'm going to click Locate. And remember, since we're finding a slide, and this is, again, our wrong answer, we are going to go down and select the one for wrong answer. So that way, when I actually click on the text, notice if I hover over it, see how my finger pops up. If I click on it, it takes me to the wrong answer slide, and we'll fix that in a second. I'm going to do the same sort of thing. Remember, you could use Command K if you're on a Mac, or Control K if you're on a PC. And this again was my, where are we on? Let's do the one for the wrong answer. So I'm going to go to Insert, Hyperlink, or Command K. I'm going to click Document, Locate. And again, this one was the wrong answer, so I'm going to click that, and we'll talk about why they can go to the same one. Okay, and then this is my correct answer, and I want to link this to correct answer for question number 1 because we're going to create a link off of this. So you'll notice if you go back to the diagram, we'll take to wrong slide the ones that are linked off, and then what I can do is I can choose for my correct answer to go to the next slide. Okay, so I'm going to hyperlink my correct slide or my correct answer. And I'm going to choose correct answer for question number 1 because I want us to be able to move on. You could do the same thing with shapes. So if you're doing something for an elementary school level and you wanted to choose the shape or you wanted to choose a color or something along those lines, you can do the same sort of thing, add in a hyperlink that way. I'm just going to use text boxes, but just note you can hyperlink shapes for similar things. Okay, now the thing is, so my students are in this, if they click on correct answer, it takes them to the correct answer slide, which we'll show how to move in a minute. However, if they click on wrong answer, they have to actually be able to come back to the question. We want them to answer until they get the correct answer. So what we actually need to do is we need to create a hyperlink or an action button on our wrong answer slide to take us back to the last viewed slide. The reason why is because we want to be able to have our students click on that button to take them back. So I'm going to go, once I'm on my wrong answer slide, which is slide 8, I'm going to go to my action buttons, and I'm going to use the U-turn looking one, which is defaulted to return. And I could put in my hyperlink here, and what it will do is we want to leave it to hyperlink to last slide viewed, because what that will do is it will take students back to the question they were just on. So you could add some direction that says, click on the U-turn to try the question again. And you could also give it some sort of notes, a hint to students if you wanted to, or try again, some sort of encouragement. You can actually add pictures and all that fun stuff. Now, if I go back to question 1, which is where I was, and I click on wrong answer, now notice I can't click anywhere because I'm in kiosk mode. However, if I click there, it will take me back to question number 1. All right. Now that my students got, this is setting up our questions, this is hyperlinking to the correct slides, and now we can set up our correct answer. So my students, let's pretend that they've moved on. They got the correct answer for question number 1. I could say, yay, great job. Click for the next question. And I can add an action button. As noticed on here, we want to make sure that we put in, under slide 3, a next slide action button. So I'm going to go up to Shape, Action Buttons, Next Slide. And again, that will take us to the next slide, which is question number 4. And you could do the same sort of thing to be able to go through, and you could have a question. Again, you could use shapes. So I'm going to use, let's say I'll use triangles as my, I could, if I was doing a math question, I could say which one is a polygon or something like that. I don't really know the math terms, but that kind of goes along with it. And I could use 3 shapes, or I could actually put text in the shapes if I wanted. And again, I can hyperlink the shapes. Let's pretend my triangle is the wrong answer. So I want to hyperlink, insert, hyperlink. I want to choose something in the document, click locate, and I want this to go to the wrong answer. And remember, after students click on this, because it's the wrong answer, it will bring them back not to question 1, but to question 2, because this is the last slide viewed. Again, I'm going to add in my hyperlink. I'm going to make sure it's anchored in the document. I'm going to make this go to the wrong one. Click OK. And then my circle will be the correct one. And I want to make sure I choose correct answer for question number 2, because that will allow our students to advance. And all of these we'll check in a moment. But now that I have, great job, click for the last question. And according to my document, after I've gotten all of my questions and put in my wrong or rights, I want to move on to slide 5 and add in, again, a next slide button. So I'm going to go up to Shapes, Action Buttons, take to next slide, click OK. And then last but not least, this is my question. And then I'm going to use just simple text boxes. Right answer. Again, I could change the fonts. I could do all of those things. If I wanted to make them bigger, I wanted them to have different shapes. If I wanted to make them a different color, if I wanted to have my outlining of the box be a specific color, if I wanted them to be filled in, let's say I want this to be around here, I could also do these sorts of things. And again, before I set up my hyperlinking, I can just copy and paste these. And you can make them, straight in line if you wanted to, however you'd like to set them up. In my sample on Moodle, you'll be able to see them look a little prettier. All right, so now I want to go through and do my hyperlinking again. I want to document anchor, and I want this to go to the wrong answer, and that will bring me back to the next slide. This one also goes to wrong answer. I'm going to document wrong answer, click OK. And then my correct answer. Notice how also I don't want to click on the text because that's not going to work. I want to actually click on the box that's around my text box and click the anchor to go through. So that way we have it done. All right. Now we've set up all of our correct answers, which again, if I clicked on the right answer, it would go to correct for question number 3. Now you finished. Click to move on. At this point, you'll notice though, because we just finished up with slide 6, now we're on slide 7. Slide 7, we can't actually put, like we've done on the last correct answer slides, we can't put next slide because that'll take us to wrong answer. So what we've actually got to do is create a action button that takes us to the last slide of the show. So I'm going to go up to Shape, Action Button, and I don't believe there's one that's an actual setting, so you could choose whichever one you wanted, and you want to make sure in your pop-up you want to hyperlink it to last slide. So that way it automatically defaults to slide number 9. You're going to click OK, and then again that will skip us over the wrong answer. At the end we want to add in an action button that ends the show. So again, we can add in, let's just pick this one as our end show, hyperlink to end show, and since it's kiosk mode, we want to make sure that it just goes away and we can give them some applause. So now at this point, I'm going to go through and check all of mine, and we went through and we've put in an end button, we got in all of our last slides, and we followed everything for our correct action buttons. So clicking very quickly, notice we can't click because we're in kiosk mode. This will move us forward. If I click wrong answer, oops, wrong, come back. Wrong answer, oops, come back. Correct answer takes me to correct answer for question number 1. Click forward again. Wrong answer takes us back. Wrong answer takes us back. Correct answer for number 2 advances us to question number 3. We have wrong answer, takes us to wrong answer. Wrong answer takes us to wrong answer. And the correct answer should take us to answer number 3. This slide should skip over the wrong answer and take us to the last slide of the quiz. And then if we click this action button, it will end the show. So now that we've actually gone through and set up everything, we want to make sure we save it appropriately. So we're going to go through and click Save As. You want to save this in 2 different ways. So this is my 3-question quiz. I'm going to save it first off as a PPTX, just so that way in case I need to edit anything, I could save it that way. But then since we actually want to save it as a show so our students can't modify it, we want to make sure we go up to save it again, but instead of choosing PPTX, we want to choose PPSX PowerPoint Show. And I'll show you very quickly. So if I close out of the document and I go to my desktop, you will see eventually that if I click on the PPTX file, it will open up to what we usually see when we edit. However, if I click on PPSX, it takes me to the presentation that I can't go click through unless I click my action buttons. So this is our tutorial on how to set up and go through a 3-question quiz. Make sure that you follow the directions on Moodle and how to go through and create this for yourself. Email me if you have any questions.